Hello, hello, hello. You're with Mark Adams at Next Level Business Advisors. And today we are honored to have as our guest, Miss Lynn Power. She is the CEO, president, mastermind, great guru of Masami. And we're going to learn a little bit about her. How are you today?
I love that you gave me a lot of new job titles. I'm great.
That's what
That's
I do.
amazing. I
That's what I
know.
do. And I want to hear all about them. So I'm glad to have you. And we're looking forward to hearing about what you view as success. So tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm a longtime ad executive. I spent 30 years in the ad industry running creative agencies. Most recently, I was the CEO of J. Walter Thompson, New York. And then I just kind of decided I wasn't having so much fun anymore doing that because I had gotten pretty far removed from the fun, at least to me. What was the fun? Maybe you would like dealing with the finances and the HR stuff, but for me, I like, I know, right? You geek out on that, but for me, I was like, I know, spreadsheets, woo! But but I really enjoy the creativity and brand building and working with clients. And I was really not doing that because I was managing people and problems and all sorts of stuff. So I left in 2018. I actually started a brand consultancy helping small businesses survive, startups. And then I met my partner, James, on Masami, and he'd been toiling away for 10 years working on our formulations. I know. And my thought was he's either crazy or he's a genius,
Okay.
because anyone who does that for 10 years, you got to wonder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is he just like one of those people that just will continue to like go, 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 and then there's no end in sight? Or is he just, knows what he wants and a perfectionist? So
Right.
clearly, I decided he's not crazy.
Okay. Because you're with them now, right?
Yes, I decided, you know what? Well, you know what hooked me was I tried the products that he had developed, and they were awesome. And we decided to launch the brand together. So it's a great partnership because I'm the business person and the brand and marketing person, and he's like the product guru. So you said I was the mastermind, and I will take that, but
Okay.
he's kind of really the mastermind, at least
Okay.
when it comes to the products. So we did a little bit more tweaking on the formulations to make them even cleaner, which is tricky. And then we did tons of testing on everyone, every ethnicity, every hair type, men and women. And obviously we came up with the name and the positioning, and made sure we had a strong purpose built in, and did all the packaging and all that stuff. And then we just launched in February.
Oh, congratulations. That's awesome. So let me just
Yeah.
step back a little bit just so we can make sure, because I asked you, you told me a little bit about the business, but you didn't tell us exactly what Masami is.
Of course. You should just, telepathically, right? No,
Oh, I know telepathically, but I think the listener doesn't have that same
I know, right?
gift.
So Masami is clean premium hair care.
Okay.
So we created hair care that's super high performing. We have a Japanese ocean botanical called Makabu that makes it super hydrating. But we took out all the bad stuff. So we took
Nice.
out the sulfates, the parabens, and the phthalates that are in like 90% of hair care products on the market.
Gotcha. Okay, good. So now we got a little bit clearer picture. And you mentioned that you're a partnership, so that's cool. Uh,
Yes.
we deal with a lot of solopreneurs. So let me just ask you, because since we don't deal with a lot of partners, like how did you decide on the right division of labor, if that's the right term?
It's a really good question. And, as I mentioned, I also was doing consulting and working with a lot of startups and founders. And what I found in my own observations is that the partnerships where the founders had a clear delineation of responsibilities, but aligned around a mission and a vision, were the best ones. The partnerships where people try to clone themselves usually don't work,
I agree
because it's like,
completely.
yeah, people just stepping on each other's toes and all that. So the way I think about like James and I, a very elegant Venn diagram where in the middle, there's the mission and the vision, which we are 100% aligned on. And then he's the, hair expert, R&D guy, innovation guy. He's already working on our next product, which is a hair
Nice.
mask. And he's like 3 months deep in research and he just loves it. And I'm the business go-to-market planning, strategy, digital branding, all that stuff. So it's a pretty clean division of labor, but we share
Beautiful.
a lot. I mean, we're both very open people. And I actually think of him like family. He's like, we're super close. So there's nothing I don't tell him and vice versa, but there's also only so many hours of the day. So we respect each other's skill sets. And there's stuff that I'm like, I really don't need to be involved in that. And that works out great. That makes me happy.
Beautiful. And I'm glad we're talking about this. Like I said, we deal with so many solopreneurs, but very often when people are talking with me, they're asking me about partnerships. And I tell people, partnerships are a funny thing. It's going to be either very beautiful or very disgusting. Part of it is how
That's
it's
right.
structured in the beginning, right? If there's not this clear division, oh, you're all over each other. So you have to find a partner that's going to bring something to the table. Both of you are bringing something diverse to the table. You come together, you make magic happen. So it's nice. I'm going to delve into that a little bit more, perhaps, because it sounds like that's part of what's going to help you or your definition of success. But before I get lost, I do what I call bookkeeping. That's how I started.
Sure.
So bookkeeping is like, your name of the company is Masami. How could we find you? Do you have a website that we can find?
Yes, we do. It's lovemasami.com. So we are an e-commerce site. We're also on Amazon, I should mention.
Okay, very cool.
We're also in all of the spoken wheel salons nationwide.
I
There's
don't
8
know
of them.
what a spoken wheel is. Can you break that down for me?
Yeah, they are a really incredible salon that specializes in precision color and cuts. And they started in LA about 6 years ago. And they're now in LA, San Francisco, Palo Alto, Chicago, New York, Boston, Nashville. But
Nice.
they're really, really good. So they carry our products there. They were an Aveda only salon for the whole time. They've been open 6 years. And then when they stumbled on our products, they were like, these are the first clean, high performing products that we like, that we actually feel like we can use. So that was super exciting to get that validation and to be partnering with them.
Nice. Very cool. So now you told us your website, let me get it right, is lovemasami.com.
Yep.
So let me spell it for everybody. Luvmy. Am I spelling it right?
Yeah.
Let's spell it out just in case someone is listening.
Just in case. All right. LOVEMASAMI.com.
Beautiful. So now folks know how to find you. I'm going to take a little bit of a turn. We're not a marketing company at all. That's what you do, though, partly, right? But I want to learn more about this whole idea of success in business. And I love this, that you're coming from a partnership because, and tell me if I'm wrong, you are not a hair care expert.
I am not a hair care expert, although I know enough to be dangerous because I've worked in my career, and one of the reasons that this ended up being such a serendipitous thing is I've spent a lot of time in beauty when I worked in advertising, and I've worked on L'Oreal and all L'Oreal's hair care brands and Nexus and other, but I would not consider myself a hair care expert.
Okay, and neither do I, just so you know, or I probably would have a little bit better quaff. But anyway, so you're not a hair care expert. You own a hair care company. What makes you an expert in your business?
Well, that's a good question, but I guess I feel like I've been building other people's businesses for 30 years. In some cases, built a tremendous amount of value and revenue for those brands that is directly attributable to the marketing that we did. So it was kind of like, you know what? I'm tired of doing it for everybody else. I'm going to apply all that knowledge and all that expertise that I've been doing, and I'm going to do it for myself.
Love it.
and be my own either best or worst client.
Love it. Love it. And I wanted to bring that out primarily because, you know, most people, when they start a business, and I'm talking about solopreneurs, right? Especially people who are not as experienced in the business world, they have a skill, a task, a product, and they say they're working for someone and they say, I can do that myself. And so they start their business. So they're an expert in that field. But then they have all the other side that they haven't even thought about. You know, it's like once you've produced your product, or you've offered your service, you don't know about the HR, the spreadsheets, and all those other things that are the marketing, right? And so they kind of get lost. Now you're coming from it a little different. You're not a hair care expert, but you have more of a business background. So it's nice because it will help somebody who's listening to say, well, maybe I don't have a product. Maybe I'm not an expert in a specific thing, but I can find something and marry my expertise with it and build a successful business, which actually leads me to my next question. How did you decide on this specific business? And you talked about it a little bit, but like, what made you say the leap from this is what I'm an expert in, but I'm going to do the hair care part?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of things that you could do and spend your time on, right? And I'm one of those people that I come across a good idea, I like have to do it. It's like that. It's like I can't not do it. In fact, I have another business that I have someone run, thank God, who's amazing. She should be on your show, actually.
Well, give me her name. No.
Okay, yeah, no, Veronica Armstrong, and she runs we have a premium home fragrance business, which
Oh, wow.
the main product is a beeswax candle, but I digress. I could spend all my time there. I guess that's the point. But I don't need to. I have her, and she's amazing, and she's super, super capable, and she's like Wonder Woman. So I basically, when I met James, you know how certain people, when you meet, it's like a house on fire. You just get along really well. It was
Absolutely.
it was like that. We just had really good chemistry. And I knew that he is the hair care expert, so I didn't need to be that. And I am the business expert, so he doesn't need to be that. And it just was a really good match. And I've worked in beauty on and off most of my career. So I've always had this love for working in that category, in that business. And I know it, I like it. And I've been frustrated by some of the clients I've worked with in the past who don't have great products, and you're trying to make them seem better because you're in marketing. But this was a chance to take a product that was really, truly fantastic and clean, which I don't think I've worked on a clean beauty brand before, because all the clients that I've worked with, they are guilty of putting the parabens and the sulfates and all that stuff in there. So, to be able to kind of build it the right way, and, that's an exciting proposition to me,
Gotcha.
you don't have anyone telling you what to do or in your way, and you can actually create the products that you want to create. And, you're not saddled with the client telling you, we're going to take our moisturizer. This actually happened. We're going to take our moisturizer that's for women, and we're just going to put it in a gray package for men and market it.
Nice. That's probably what I bought. It probably was on sale at Target. No, just kidding. So let me step back for a minute, because I want to just recap what you just mentioned, which I really like. You basically, and tell me where I'm wrong, please, because I'm trying to translate for someone who's listening. You basically found or have a knowledge in a specific area, plus your business knowledge, and you found someone that meshes with you on a personal level, if that's the right phrase, with the business acumen that you can complement and make it successful. And so you said, I'm going to jump in the water and swim with this guy. Is that
That's
close?
exactly right. You got it. Exactly.
Awesome.
Yep.
Beautiful. So let me ask you this question, because you have been in business for a period of time. You've had other partnerships. How do you define success?
For us, it's going to sound quaint, but it's about doing good in the world, because yes, you can define success by your revenue and your metrics, and there are selling the company in 5 years and things like that are very sort of specific things. But I also think you can define success by creating products that are meaningful, that are good, that set the standard, and also having customers who really are happy. That, to me, when I get feedback, I just got somebody today telling me how much she loved the products. I was like, that feels like success. Like,
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
it's very gratifying to feel like we're making things that people truly love.
Right. I like that. You know, it's funny. I keep saying it every time I speak to someone. I have yet to have someone say, I define success as having a ton of money. It's
Right.
never that, you know, you can probably get that a lot of different ways, but there's a satisfaction in building your business and meeting whatever your vision is. And so thus far, I found I can't wait for the first time someone says, how do you define success? $1 million. And I'm going to go, oh, wow. I have clients who make millions and they don't consider that success. So it's a very interesting question, this idea of success. So do you feel that your business currently is successful?
I do. I feel really, really positive and optimistic despite the COVID craziness.
Yeah.
We launched in February, right before everything hit, but we really have a strong customer base. We have about 20% repeat purchases,
Nice.
which is high. Yep. And we have about 40% of our customers are men, which I also love
Nice.
because, yeah, it's just so I feel like so far I'm super happy with how things have been going and the trajectory. And we're about to do a deal with a clean beauty retailer in Australia.
Oh, I.
Um, yeah, like it's well, and it gives me an excuse to visit once things open up
Oh,
again,
that would be awesome. I've always had
right?
that dream to go to Australia. I've never been. Have you been before?
I have not, but now I have to
Of
because
course,
now
mate.
exactly. I'm like,
Oh my
oh yes,
goodness.
this is
That's awesome. That's
darn
awesome.
darn. I have to go to Japan and Australia. Darn darn darn.
Oh boy, the things we have to do. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
So let me ask you this question. Since you consider yourself successful, you've been in business not for a long, long period of time, but you're seeing success already. How have you made it such that you're successful? What have you done to get this level of success in your business?
I would say the number one thing is building the right team.
Okay.
Uh, because, James and I are a great partnership, but it takes a lot more than two people to launch a business.
Mm,
And, I said earlier, I don't love the finance and the spreadsheets the way you do, but I have a really great CFO team, Carrie and Ragib, who are all over that stuff. And that helps. And then I have really great people on my team that help me with content, that help with the digital stuff, the social. Just because there's so much stuff that you have to be doing all the time and it never really ends. So you do need to build a little bit of a machine, and you kind of have to know what you're good at and what you want to do and what stuff you want to have other people.
delegate. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that
Absolutely.
I find a lot of people underestimate just how much there is sometimes. I was on a webinar a few months ago, and there was the presenter was talking about how, in her opinion, anyone starting a business should not outsource anything. They should do it all themselves. And
Okay.
I'm thinking to myself, no, no, that's like a recipe for disaster, because you could get so caught in the weeds trying to manage every little facet of your business. And I just think it's not scalable. So I would give the opposite feedback. I would say manage the high level vision, the stuff that you are good at, that you love, and find people to round you out to do the rest.
Yeah. It, it's a very important point, right? I think especially for new business owners, cash flow is always concerned, right? And so they're like, okay, well, I can't afford it, so I'm going to do it myself. And that might work for a little bit, but you have to have, in my opinion, this is what I try to explain to my clients about scalability and growth, right? You have to have a plan in place
Yeah.
that you can offload or delegate as soon as possible. Uh, because if you're going to grow, you need to have the freedom to focus on growth, and that can only come by not being stuck doing the things that simply maintaining. So there's definitely a balancing act there, and it's a challenging one for new business owners. But once you get that straight, now you have the opportunity to grow your business and scale your business. If you want to accelerate growth, that's the way to do it. So let me ask
Yeah.
you this question, because I don't want to I don't want to get lost in that. You mentioned that you have a good team, and you learned that very early on, right? That's what it sounds like. You
Mm,
learned that very early on.
yeah.
Uh, Oftentimes we learn from our mistakes. Has there been one mistake in your business thus far that you said, man, I wish I didn't have to go through that?
Well, yeah, I'll give you a very tangible one. You know,
Okay.
when you're setting up your ecosystem, right, of all the different pieces you need to build a business. Now we are on Shopify. I may have mentioned that before, but we have a lot of plugins that we use to augment Shopify so that we're trying to kind of like round out the whole customer journey. So we have like a customer service plugin and we have a bunch of other things. So I'm one of those people that likes to talk and meet people and hear what's going on. And I'm curious and I like to see what's out there. So I meet with companies and brands all the time. And I met with this one company called Emotive, and they were offering a text messaging service that would
Okay.
allow you to kind of close the loop on the purchases, right? So if somebody's in
Yes.
a abandoned cart, you can text them and say, hey, guess what? You know, you
Yeah.
left that stuff in your cart, 10% off, whatever. And it sounded great to me. So we signed up. And then the person on my team, Veronica, who I already spoke about, she she started working with them to integrate it in and found all these bugs in their system and
Ooh.
issues. And basically, we ended up saying to them like we can't use it. It's not ready for prime time. We're spending so much time trying to fix your problems.
That we can't
We're a
focus
small
on.
business. We got to deal with our own stuff. We can't. And so what I learned from that, and we ended up, and then they wouldn't let us out of our contract. So we're basically now we had to bring in a different service provider, but yet we're still paying these guys.
Ooh.
So what I learned from that is that I should not make those decisions.
Okay.
I should
That's a new
I
one.
I should have had Veronica from the get-go really vet them, because that would have saved us a lot of time and angst and effort and money. And but you know, here I was like, oh, look at me, I found this great resource, let's use it.
Okay.
um, so now I'm kind of like, okay, I got to stick in my lane,
Okay.
and let the experts do their thing.
Nice. I like that. So encapsulating that point then, one way to avoid mistakes is to make sure that you let the right people do the right job. Is that a good one?
Yeah, exactly,
And,
exactly. And
and I
that was
know
a good
exactly what you
reminder for
mean.
me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, oh, you know, I really shouldn't have stuck my nose in there where it doesn't belong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
I
that.
love that.
I'm getting feedback from my own machine here, which is bananas. I like that because we often, as owners, we kind of say, I gotta, the buck stops here. But that doesn't mean that we have to, make every single decision. We can learn how to delegate, let people do their job, empower them, and then say, okay, yay, thank you for, you present me with all the facts, and now what's your recommendation? I'm learning that myself even, and I've been in business for almost 20 years. The value of delegating properly and empowering other people. That's really how you make a scalable business. That's a nice lesson. And I think that people really appreciate hearing mistakes of successful business owners, because we all make them, right? We all make them.
Exactly.
So it's nice to learn from what people can give us. I'm going to tilt the camera a little bit more and ask you this question. What is, in your opinion, the single most important quality needed to be a successful business owner?
There are a number of things, but you didn't ask for my list. So you just asked for the single most.
The
So
single most.
I would say empathy. And the reason I'm saying that is
Okay.
because I think emotional intelligence is super, super important and often underrated and misunderstood. But I think when you lead with empathy, and that means empathy towards your team, empathy towards the situation we're dealing with COVID, empathy towards your customers, I think that makes you a savvier, more connected leader to your business and allows you to make decisions that are going to be the right decisions, and not decisions that are just based on, you know, the cash flow at the moment, or the, you know, just decisions that might bite you in the butt later.
Okay. Can I be honest? Is that all right? I have
Yeah.
never heard anyone say empathy. I love it. That is a new one for me. I love these interviews because I learn. I mean, I'm constantly learning. I like that. Empathy being a key to success. And I think for some of us, is intrinsic, right? We're empathetic by nature. Others might not be. And so, but you're right. Empathy makes such a difference, especially I think about with my clients, because empathy allows you to feel something for them. And I think it's reciprocal. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
So
Um,
wait, I'm curious. What do people usually say when you ask that? Because
you know
I
what
get
I've got a
lots of
lot of?
answers too.
I've gotten a
Yeah,
lot of grit, determination.
okay,
Don't
resilience.
stop.
Yeah, yeah.
One person said emotional intelligence, and I love all of it because I'm thinking, I asked the question, but no one ever asked me what do I think the single most important quality is, and I'm glad they don't because I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. So I'm gonna just keep
Darn, I was
rocking
going to
these things.
ask you.
I'm going to keep rocking these things, and then one day I'm going to pull somebody's. Mine is probably pilfering. I believe in the value of pilfering. Nobody has the market on good ideas. Nobody has the market. But if you see a good idea and you take it for yourself and then add your flair, you come out better. That's what I think.
Okay,
Every
I call that dot connecting.
dot connecting. Okay.
Yeah, and it's actually like one of my superpowers. It's like you meet somebody like you here and we're having a conversation, and then I'll be in a meeting tomorrow and I'll replay something that you said because it's stuck in my mind. You know what I'm saying? And you end up,
Absolutely.
or you connect people together because I'm like, oh, Veronica should be on your show.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's funny, but that's cool. I'm gonna stick with empathy until probably next week when I speak to my next person. We'll be like, I think empathy. No, I'm just kidding. I won't pilfer. I will not pilfer. So let me ask you this question: uh, Have you ever worked with coaches or mentors? Do you think that they provide value to you in your business life?
Well, yes and no. I think when I was younger, when I started in my career, I had a couple really great bosses.
Okay.
Men, by the way, because the industry was quite male. The female bosses I had were terrible, terrible. That's a whole conversation for another episode.
All
But
right.
yeah, I think women is because think about it. 30 years ago, it was a different time, and I think women in business kind of felt like they had to emulate men, and therefore they often acted like hard asses or bullies or just not positive, supportive, empathetic role
Empathy.
models. Yeah. So I would say I did have a couple good mentors early in my career, and as I got more senior, I had fewer and fewer. And I think it's because at the top it's very male. Not, I'm not trying to make this about a gender
Right.
thing.
Right.
Like I said, I had really good male bosses, and I was really lucky, and I still talk to them to this day, and it's
Oh.
30 years. But I would say no. So when I kind of became the person in charge, I really didn't have a coach or mentor, but I did a lot of coaching and mentoring for other people. And I do
Okay.
a lot for other women, especially because I find that women have a harder time expressing themselves and finding their voice and basically saying what they want. It's so basic, but guys are really good at making demands and saying, promote me, and hey, I want to do that over there. And then the women sit there and be like, well, why didn't I get asked? I'm like, because they didn't even know you wanted it.
Right. Right.
So that's what I guess I'd say. It's more me mentoring other people versus me getting mentored.
Well, it's important. I mean, you might end up getting some people calling you saying, "Hey, do you have time to mentor me?"
You know
But
what? I'm one of those people. I had somebody reach out to me on LinkedIn cold, and she asked me to be her mentor, and I would have calls with her once a month and helped her get
nice,
her business up and running.
nice.
I love doing that stuff because I feel like, it's a little bit of, you give and then you get back.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And it's valuable to share. So mentorship is very important. I think coaching is very important. Advisory. I remember when I started my business, there was no way in the world I was going to pay for a coach. Pay for a coach? Can't
Right.
afford that. When I finally, I keep telling this story, but when I finally was sitting up in my office one night around 8 o'clock, almost in tears because I was inundated with work and not making money, I said, I might need somebody to help me break through the ceiling. And they helped me to get through it. So there's always value, but you definitely got to find the right one. If you don't find the right one, you're going to be in a
Yes.
lot. You can be in a world of hurt. So make sure that there's a synergy. So let me ask you this question here. What advice would you give to a brand new business owner?
Well, we already talked about the partnership and making sure
Hmm.
that's solid. And then I
Right.
talked about building the team. And I think that's a super critical piece. But my other big piece of advice I always give startups, don't wait until your product has been in the market for a while before you figure out your brand. And what I mean by the brand is your personality, your iconography, your behavior, your values, your narrative, your story. And I've worked with way too many startups who love their product, get really enamored with that. They'll launch it and then they'll wonder like, why isn't everybody else in love with it? And they have put almost no time thinking about the brand. And the problem when you do it that way is that you end up having to backtrack later because once you realize my logo doesn't match what I'm saying on the website, which doesn't match what I'm doing in social, because you don't really have those brand guidelines in place, you spend a lot of time and money unraveling things and putting it
Mm,
back together.
mm. Yeah, I like that. A lot of times we go by the seat of our pants instead of planning. And that's something sounds like if you plan it out, then you won't have to sort of reverse engineer. It's like,
Exactly.
running a race and then realizing, oh, I've got to tie my shoe. Oh, that's going to be a bit of a challenge. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I got one. So let me ask you this question. If you could go right back, not right back, but if you can go right before you started your business, maybe the week before, what advice would you give yourself?
I would say be prepared for a bumpy ride
Okay. Okay.
because, I launched in February at New York Fashion Week where we were in public spaces in crowded rooms at fashion shows. And it was only a few weeks later when everything went on lockdown. And, like everyone else, I didn't think it was going to be this long, drawn out,
Wow.
right?
Oh, yeah, this is
And
unprecedented.
it really is. And I mean, there are days when I'm thinking to myself, like, what's going to happen next?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I think it's just knowing that it's so unpredictable, and being like kind of going into it like that. And it's hard because you could probably tell I'm a little bit type A. I like to have things under
Understood.
control. I like to
Understood.
have a plan, but you know what? You got to also blow up the plan sometimes.
Yep. I like that. Yeah. I always say strap in, right? Strap in. Because
Yes,
you just, especially when you start out. Now you started out with a lot of experience just in general, and you've had other businesses and you still had a bumpy ride. Think about starting out and you have no idea about business. And you just know,
uh,
I know how to make this product, or I know how to, you know, sell this service, and then you have all the other things involved. So yeah, bumpy ride it is. But you know what, it's funny because once you get, it's like, I guess, clear air turbulence. Once you get past the turbulence, you can have some smooth sailing if you do it right. So I
that's
like that.
right.
Oh, awesome. I have one more question for you. We call it the bonus question. All right, you ready?
Okay.
So every
Yeah.
week we do a business mastermind. I host one. We call it Friday Focus Forum. It's a little different than others. I've been involved in a lot, but this one is my hosted one. And basically, we kind of like vibe. We get together and we just talk about a subject, and then we talk about other business matters. All the subjects pertain to business. So once we throw the question up in the air, we ask for the owners to tell us what they think. So this is what we talked about last week, and I just want to get your thoughts. The statement we
Sure.
had was value delivered, but not perceived is of no value at all. What do you
I
think about
agree
that?
with that. I agree. That's like if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, right?
That's right.
I think that's true because perception is reality. And I know that from working in marketing, you can create a positive perception with a not so great reality, and that carries you forward, or vice versa. You can have an amazing product, but if nobody knows about it or nobody, whatever uses it, it doesn't matter. So I think value and perception are very closely tied together.
I like it. I like it. We actually had a long conversation about it, and just like how do we, and we're not going to do that now because that's not what this is about, but we started talking about like how do we make sure that people perceive the value that, right? We think, man, I've done such an
Yeah.
amazing thing, but this person doesn't even appreciate it. It was a very interesting conversation. Maybe one day, if someone's listening to this, go check out my YouTube channel because it's there. It's a very good conversation. But I like what you mentioned. When a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, doesn't make a sound. It's a lot about like value. So cool. Hey, I really want to thank you. You gave us some nice gems, and I love your experience. I love the fact that you're a partnership and you've made this marriage, because that's what it is, a business marriage, work so well. I think that people who are considering going into business and feel like I want to form a partnership, they'll have some really good takeaways from this because that's important. It is a marriage. And so
Yes,
you have to make sure
definitely
that you
is.
pick the right mate. Your business mate is
Yep.
very important to your success. So it's nice to see your journey. We look forward to seeing your continued journey. Thank you very
Thank you. It
much.
was really a fun conversation. Thanks so much.
I had a blast. Thanks so much. Talk to you again. All right.